Hi everybody, welcome back to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Mike.
And we're on part 2 of our article about Iceland.
Yes, Iceland, a beautiful island right in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean. It's a place a lot of people are interested in going. Of course, a lot of people in Taiwan love to go there for the Northern Lights. It's one of the best places to see the Northern Lights for. But yesterday, actually, we learned that for people who live in Iceland, well, they can see the Northern Lights anytime, and they do have long, hard winters. The winters are miserable, and people actually travel outside of Iceland to feel better. So while we're going there in the winter to see the Northern Lights, they're probably flying off to Jamaica or Hawaii or somewhere hot and warm to sit on a beach because the winter's there and the weather can be really, really tough. And they also have had some other tough things, right? 2008 especially stands out as a time that was very tough, very difficult for the people of Iceland. Why was that?
Well, it was the big financial crisis that year. Of course, all over the world, people were struggling. And in Iceland, that meant fewer people traveled.
Yeah, many banks closed. People had a tough time getting money.
Yeah, so we heard about this one town that kind of tried to make people feel a bit better by setting up heart-shaped street lights. These lovely glowing lights just to bring a smile to your face on a cold day. Something else that brought a smile to people's faces is beer, which was illegal in Iceland until 1989 when the government made it legal again.
That's right. So beer was legal again, once again in 1989, and people didn't just celebrate by going out and having a few beers. They celebrated by making a holiday or a special day on the calendar, Beer Day. It's March 1st, not just in 1989, but every year they have Beer Day on March 1st. People go out, have a few beers, party with their friends, and have a grand old time. And of course, all this is happening in the middle of winter when it's still cold, it's still dark, but they're doing these things to bring a little happiness and joy to their lives.
But what else is there to learn about Iceland? Let's check out day 2 and find out.
Reading.
Things you may not know about Iceland. Jólabókaflót is Icelandic for Christmas book flood, a tradition that started during World War II. At this time, the use of most materials was rationed, but the use of paper was not. Because of this, books were often given out as gifts. This turned the country's population into eager book lovers. The tendency to give books has continued into the modern day. In fact, a 2019 study showed that on average, Icelanders read 2.3 books per month. Books are usually given on Christmas Eve, and people spend the night relaxing and reading their new books. Rarely is violent crime a big concern in Iceland. Actually, Iceland has no standing army, navy, or air force. Instead, it has a small peacekeeping force of 200 people. They are usually unarmed and don't wear uniforms. Iceland also has a national coast guard and an air defense system. Taiwan's population density is 673 people per square kilometer. But Iceland's is only 3 people per square kilometer. Roughly 1/3 of those live in Reykjavik. And that's our look at some fun facts about Iceland. Which one is your favorite?
All right, so we begin our article today about Iceland with a word from Icelandic. Jólabókaflót is Icelandic, I should say, for Christmas book flood. Jólabókaflót. Okay, I got it. Christmas book flood. A tradition that started during World War II, and I imagine people aren't swimming in giant rivers of books as they're trying to save their lives in the flood of books.
Well, maybe not quite.
Too many books.
So what? No, not quite.
No.
It's more like having lots of books.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's a bit more metaphorical.
Come to my house.
Okay, well, why does this day, or why does this experience, this Christmas book flood tradition, why does it happen? Well, we learn that at this time, so World War II from the previous sentence, the use of most materials was rationed, but the use of paper was not. So if something's rationed, it's limited by the government to ensure the product doesn't run out. Often during wartime, when people aren't able to grow foods, they would have, government would say, okay, people can only buy a limited number each. You maybe have to sign in a book or bring a card to show that you can get this stuff. Masks were rationed back at the start of the pandemic in Taiwan. People could only buy a limited number from pharmacies or wherever else at a time. Like, okay, you bought 10, you bought a box this week, no more for you for another couple of weeks. It was limited to make sure that somebody didn't buy 1 million masks and there was none left for anybody else.
Exactly. Things back then, you know, metal that they had, oh no, you can't make a gift and give it for Christmas. We need the metal to make trucks or airplanes, and wood was used for other things and all this stuff. But they had lots of paper. You couldn't make guns or bombs or airplanes out of paper, so they had lots of paper. So if you want to make something out of paper, even during war, no problem. So because of this, books were often given out as gifts, because many of the other gifts, you couldn't find them. They were rationing all those materials, so no gifts in the shops, but the bookshops were full. Paper was no problem. When you give something out, basically, you have a large amount of it, and you want to make sure that everyone else gets at least one. So if you're at a school lunch or something, they might be giving out food to all the students. If the teacher asks you before the test to give out a paper or give out a test paper to your classmates, they'll give you a big pile, and then you'll make sure each one gets a single piece of paper. You're giving something out, you're distributing it to a larger group.
Okay, and maybe, for all I know, the government gave out books to people.
Possibly too, yeah, who knows?
Yeah, but what we do know is this act of books being given out turned the country's population into eager book lovers. So they were eager. If you're eager, you're keen about something. You've got enthusiasm for it. You hear about it, you go, oh yeah, that's for me. I'm excited about that kind of thing. You might be eager about a particular sports game. Oh, I really want to watch that. You might be eager about a movie. I can't wait until it comes out. Here's another example. Are you eager to go to the big sale at the shopping mall this weekend?
Oh boy, I'm so excited. I can't even sleep. I'm so excited. Yes, I'm eager. Because I'm a sales lover. I'm a shopping lover. That's not quite an expression, but it's basically giving you the idea that I really like something. If you're a book lover, you really like books, not just books, but you like reading books, collecting books, buying books. You love to go to a bookstore. Maybe you listen to podcasts about the new books that are coming out. You're really enthusiastic, really excited. You have a passion for something. Music lovers love music. Movie lovers love movies. Sports lovers love all kinds of different sports. It's something they have a passion for and enthusiasm for. For example, music lovers will definitely want to check out the Jazz Festival next month. Sure, lots of jazz music. I love music. This is going to be great.
Okay, so this started, of course, at the end of around World War II. So we're talking sort of 60, 70 years ago at this point. But we see in the article that the tendency to give books has continued into the modern day. So people in Iceland have a tendency to give books as gifts. A tendency, it's a habit. It's something that is a trend. You do it more often than not. Maybe it's your first thought. It's someone's birthday. Oh, I'll get them a book. That's the thing I would normally do. That's my first idea because that's my habit. That's my tendency. Here's another example. Barney has a tendency to chew his fingernails when he is stressed. It's a habit with him. The minute he starts to feel stress, he's biting and chewing his nails. So reading in Iceland is still a pretty popular thing to do.
It is, and we have some numbers to show you that. It says, in fact, to give you even more precise and interesting information on this idea, in fact, a 2019 study showed that on average, Icelanders read 2.3 books per month. So that's the national average. That means that if you take all the number of people in the country and add all those numbers and then divide it by the numbers that you added up, you'll get 2.3 books per month. Some people, of course, might read 6 or even 10 books a month. There might be that one guy who reads 0 books a month because he's too busy on TikTok or something. But on average, this is what people in Iceland read. I'd say that's a pretty high average.
I would say so. I think I would struggle to read 2.3 books in a month.
Okay, you're a busy guy.
Yeah. I think you manage that quite easily.
Yeah, I can read 4 or 5 if I'm really, working at it.
But therefore, our average is going to be about, 2 and a bit.
2.5.
Maybe 1 from me, 4 or 5 from you.
Right.
So it's used to kind of this middle number that's generally accurate for most people.
And of course, there will be people way outside that on the high side, way outside that on the low side. But yeah, to give you the middle number, and we use these numbers especially to give you a basic idea of something. If we're kind of looking at the world from space, this is the kind of number that we would have. You can't actually count the people, but an average gives you a really good idea. And I don't know, I would say in Canada, North America, it would probably be less than 1. I think the averages would be much lower than 2.3.
I might have to look that up.
Yeah.
But what do we learn about this book flood? Because this is a Christmas thing. We see in the article, books are usually given on Christmas Eve. So they don't wait until Christmas Day and the traditional present opening. It's a Christmas Eve thing. And people spend the night relaxing and reading their new books.
Oh, that's a nice idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't really want to go outside in the middle of December in Iceland. So staying home and reading sounds pretty good.
And Christmas Eve is kind of more of a family time, right? You spend the time at home with your family. Get a couple of new books. You can stay up late, wait till Santa Claus comes, and then go back to bed. But of course, for a lot of people, they like to read books. They find it's a good way to relax.
Yeah, to relax just means to take it easy. You're not doing something busy. You're doing something that's gonna make your body feel no energy is being used. I'm not having to really think hard. I'm not really having to work hard. I can just sort of get my energy back, either mental energy or physical energy. Some people do this by going to the beach. Some people will do it by walking around. It'll just relax them. And
doing yoga.
Yeah, sit back and have a cup of hot chocolate or something like that.
That's nice too.
So here's one example. When I get home, I like to relax by playing smartphone games or reading comics. It's quite a few of you guys, I think.
Yeah, probably. And rarely, it says, is violent crime a big concern in Iceland. Okay, we've kind of switched topics here, moved on from how Icelandic people love books. Icelandic people don't worry about violent crime very much, so that's a wonderful thing. It's not a big concern. A concern would be a worry, something that's on your mind, something you have to be careful of, or something like that. But this is rarely a big concern. And if here we're talking about violent crime, that's basically crime where people get hurt. Now, someone might steal your bicycle in Iceland, but they're not going to hit you on the head, steal your bicycle, and take your money out of your wallet while kicking you or something like that. That would be violent crime, murder, people fighting, crime where people get attacked and hurt, that kind of thing. Rarely happens in Iceland, like in Taiwan, really.
So in that sentence, we used an inverted sentence pattern. So when we were reading it, we could have said, violent crime is rarely a big concern in Iceland. But we switched it around. Rarely is violent crime a big concern in Iceland. By putting that negative word about frequency at the front, we draw attention to it and we give it emphasis. So people are more likely to notice, okay, violent crime's not a problem. But by putting it this way, rarely is violent crime a problem, we're emphasizing just how rare it is. Here's another example of how we can do this. Never have I seen such a strange movie in my life. I had no idea what was going on. And we're saying rarely is violent crime a problem. It doesn't happen often.
That's right. So there is crime there. It's not a perfect country where nothing bad happens. But yes, violent crime, where people get attacked, where people get murdered, where people fight each other and other people end up in hospital. That type of crime, that doesn't usually happen. For example, neither country wants to use violent measures, so they're exploring peaceful solutions. When we use violent, we can also use it just to talk about powerful physical force. Something like that, like a violent attack by a lion or something. The lion isn't trying to kill you or doesn't, hate you or anything, but it's going to use its teeth and its claws. People will get cut and hurt. They'll end up in the hospital. A lot of force, energy, and damage will be done by the crime, by the storm, by the powerful animal, whatever it is.
So we can take from this that Iceland is a fairly peaceful, kind of friendly place.
Sure.
And the article adds, actually, Iceland has no standing army, navy, or air force.
Really?
A standing army means the army is kind of there all the time.
Right.
It's people are on duty all the time.
Right.
So if you have no standing army, it doesn't mean you have no army at all.
Okay.
It just means that people would have to be kind of called up and say, hey, we need you now.
Being in the army isn't a full-time job for some people.
It's something people would maybe volunteer to do on weekends instead of go, okay, we're an army right now, we're on the base, we travel abroad, we do exercises. They don't have that, or a navy, which is on the ocean, or an air force.
No airplanes. Well, at least not fighting airplanes in sort of a permanent situation. So what do they have? How are they going to protect themselves? Well, instead of having a standing army, it says instead, it has a small peacekeeping force of 200 people. So there you go. There's 200 people who've probably gotten some training and how to use guns or how to drive, army vehicles or something. But they have regular day jobs. They work in banks. They work as school teachers. They work as nurses at the hospital, whatever. But should there be a big emergency in Iceland, should Canada invade Iceland for some crazy reason, they will have some people there to protect the country, to defend the country. But this is a peacekeeping force. This is not an army that is going to go out and join the big wars in the world. This is an army that's there just to keep the people safe. Kind of like police, but with slightly better guns.
Yeah.
Basically.
So I imagine what these people do, it's maybe a few days a month. All right, you're on
training.
duty.
Yep.
Yeah, you're on duty this month. You hang around some areas like at the airport to make sure nothing's going on.
Yep.
But then that's it. You're done for the month. You go back to your job.
And one of the things they probably mostly do is help out with natural disasters.
Oh,
if there's
yes.
an earthquake, they might be there with their hospitals and stuff like that. They're not really doing a lot of soldier type fighting.
Right.
No.
And we also see they are usually unarmed and don't wear uniforms. So they're unarmed. They are not carrying weapons.
I'm an Icelandic peacekeeper.
Pretty much, yeah. That's what you'd look like. So if you're armed, that means you've got a gun, a knife, something like that with you. You're holding it or it's in your belt or something. But if you're unarmed, you have no weapons at all.
That's right. But they are ready to protect themselves in some ways. It says Iceland also has a national coast guard, good, and an air defense system. So it does have a few things to keep people safe. A coast guard makes sure that people who get in trouble in the ocean can get rescued. If, a boat sinks or people fall off a boat, they can send out some other people to help them. And an air defense system, which basically probably means radars. They can see airplanes in the area because, of course, Iceland is in the middle of a big traffic zone between North America and Europe, so they have to know what's going on around the country. They have to be able to help people in trouble in the water around the island, but this is sort of for defense, nothing about attacking other countries or starting wars or anything like that. So these peacekeepers, the Coast Guard, all of that stuff in Iceland, it's designed for the defense of the country, protecting the country from bad things from the outside hurting them. If someone does something to you, you might do something in defense of yourself. If someone throws something at you, you might put your hands up in front of your face. That's to act as a defense. Your hands are hopefully going to stop that thing before it hits you on the nose or something like that. And when we're talking about the defense of a country, well, we're talking about protecting the country from enemy attacks from outside, but that's all. They're not interested in starting wars. They're only interested in stopping the wars coming to their home. And this is good. Having no army, having a small defense system. This is good because really, Iceland, I was going to say, doesn't really have the people to have a big army, does it?
No, we're moving away from the facts about the army onto facts about how many people there are
not many.
In this country. We know Taiwan's population density is 673 people per square kilometer.
That's a lot.
But Iceland's is only 3 people per square kilometer.
Wow.
So this is about population density. Yeah, this is a measure of how crowded a place is by the number of people on average living in a certain amount of space. So imagine a square kilometer. It's quite big, but it's not super big. And imagine putting 600 or 700 people in there.
Okay.
That's crowded.
That is crowded.
Put 3 people in there.
Wow, I can barely see my neighbors.
Talk to each other. So what we're saying here, we're using some statistics to show you just how not crowded Iceland is.
How much space there is and how few people there are. So only, what was it, 2?
3 per square meter.
3 per square meter. And here's another thing that kind of gives you an idea of how much space there is outside the city. Roughly 1/3 of those live in Reykjavik. That's the capital city. That's the biggest city. 1/3 or 33% around of all the people in Iceland live in the city. So that number is included in the 3 people per square kilometer. But if you take the city away, there's even fewer people out in the countryside of Iceland.
We're saying roughly 1/3.
Roughly 1/3. That's basically not quite a guess, but it's not a totally accurate number. 1/3, as I said, would be around 33.3%. About. But it could be 32. It could be 35.1. It's in the neighborhood of the number. And also importantly, the real number, the exact number, it's not important. We're not trying to get all, into the science of this. We're just giving you a basic idea. So roughly, approximately. Here's a good one that you probably know from geography class. Roughly 70% of the Earth is covered by water. That would change a little bit depending on the season, how much ice there is, things like that. But it's a good close number.
Okay, and the article concludes by saying, and that's our look at some fun facts about Iceland. Which one is your favorite? That's for you to discuss. We've got something else to discuss in our For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
All right, so we learned there how Icelandic people have a tradition of giving and receiving books as a gift around Christmas or other times of the year, but especially on Christmas Eve. So here's a question about gifts. What is your favorite kind of gift to give or receive?
Okay, well, receiving, I'm going to be kind of lame here. I like to receive things like Amazon vouchers.
Oh, okay.
Because I know what I have read, haven't read, and which books out there I really want.
Okay.
And I've got a Kindle, so I need to get it on my Kindle, not as an actual book.
Right.
Don't really have a lot of space.
Yep.
So if somebody gives me Amazon gift vouchers and says, go and buy the books you want, that is ideal for me because we don't have to spend a lot of time finding books. I need to download it onto my Kindle, so a real book is nice, it's lovely, but it's not ideal. So something like that is actually my favorite kind of gift to receive at the moment.
Oh, okay, that's a good answer and a very practical gift.
Yeah, in terms of giving, I like to give things where, I mean, it's a kind of a lame answer, but something where I've actually thought, what would this person like?
Okay.
But if it's my brothers, I'd like to give them a gift that both they'd enjoy and also insults them at the same time.
I see, that would be a good joke for you.
That's a brothers thing.
And hopefully a decent gift for them. But
what do you like getting?
Anything that someone, I don't really know. I think I have some of the same problems with you. I read a lot. People don't know what to buy me. But really anything that just shows a person, gave a little bit of thought. I'm often really impressed with my friends, how they find things that I never would have thought of, and they went out and found something. I just love that kind of thing. So anything given with, with a good heart and with some caring and that kind of thing, that's fine for me.
Okay, well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for watching. For English for You, I'm Pat.
I'm Mike.
Talk to you again soon. Bye.
Take care.
Vocabulary Review eager. After several months of working without stopping, I am eager for a vacation. Lover. Vicky is a real cat lover. She spends a lot of time at cat cafes. Tendency. Jim has a tendency to bite his fingers when he starts to feel nervous. Relax. Patricia lay down on the sofa to relax after a hard day at work. Violent. The boys' argument became violent when Tommy punched Gary in the face. Roughly. I think roughly 20 people are coming on the class trip, but I'll check the exact number later.
智慧小补帖
Ration. Peacekeeping. Unarmed. Defense. Population density.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net